Let's look. And we are live now.
All right. We are back live today, bro.
Part two.
Part two. I screwed it up the first time around, man. I'll tell you what. In fairness to myself, everybody, we jumped on a little bit earlier this morning, and we were not able to keep the show going. But I knew that we have so many great topics we wanted to get to today that I wanted to jump back on after the meeting that I had so we didn't have to rush anything. We had a meeting that got moved up, and it just was not going to give us enough time to get through all of these stories. And it was just yesterday, in fact, that we had only like a 30-minute show. So I felt like, hey, let's calm this one down. Let's give everybody some time so that we can get through this. So hopefully right now you're midway through your day. Maybe you've got a last, 20 minutes of your lunch break right now, and you're coming back. Give it over to us. Let's have a little fun, talk about some stories that are going on across the country and locally here to Florida, exactly where we are. Of course, I'll make the introduction to you, Anthony, behind the camera over there.
Hey, how's it going?
There we go. And thank you all very much for joining us here on the Patrick Carr Show. We're going to give you some interesting things that are going on across the country right now. Make you the smartest person that there is in your office or your friend group, talking about some cool stuff like this. We only got to one story earlier today before we had to jump off. Now, that story was a big one, though, Anthony. We led it with it. Folks, if you have not heard, I want to just rehash this a little bit. The worst person in America, the worst judge, and I don't know how you want to put this, an individual that deserves to lose their job. We had that contest, Anthony. What was it for a while there? Worst person of the week?
Yeah, worst person of the week.
Yeah, worst person of the week. The worst person of the week is going to a judge out in California. Her name is Shannon Farity. And for those of you who think, man, maybe he's exaggerating or taking this too far, let me explain the situation. Rewind, everybody. October 2025. An illegal alien that was here in the U.S. illegally, a 21-year-old, obtained a CDL, which driver's license for semis, and was driving down the road, showed no regard for anybody that was on the road, and slams into the back of innocent people that had slowed down on Interstate 10 and kills 3 people. Let me repeat that, everyone. Here illegally, 21-year-old adult had come here. In fact, I missed the part that you all should know. He also came here, was caught by the Biden administration, released back out into the public, gets a CDL driver's license from the state of California, starts driving a semi, doesn't pay any attention, slams into the back of cars, kills 3 people. That's the kind of person we're dealing with here. That's the kind of regard for life. This individual gets in front of a judge in California, and let me ask you a question. How much time do you think this son of a gun got for killing 3 people and injuring countless others? I think most people would say, boy, illegally here, probably got like 20 years. Maybe the minimum he got like 12 to 15. And how about 10, Patrick? Nope. How about 5 years for this guy? Nope. 4 years and 8 months this man got for killing 3 American citizens as he was here illegally in the United States. He will do 4 years and 8 months. This despicable judge in California, Shannon Farity, I encourage you to go look her up. She said that his young age qualified him for youth offender status, everybody. She pointed, get this, I can't believe this, to his lack of criminal record and said, well, the crash was not intentional. His lack of criminal record? You mean the criminal record when he broke the crime of coming into our country illegally? Like, I don't know. Anyone want to take that one into consideration? In his youth status? What point does someone become an adult here? They can go serve, they could serve in the military, they can drink, but I guess according to Shannon Farity out here in California, that if you're 21 years old and kill 3 people, you know what? Your intention matters, and the fact that you know what, you're not very old, we need to show some leniency to people like you. Don't worry about your criminal record coming in here illegally or breaking our laws that way. you seem like you're definitely somebody who can be rehabilitated into the public. And so I want to show you some leniency. This is according to Shannon Faraday out there in California. Worst person of the week. I'm not going to harp on this too much because I went 20 minutes into it on our first show this morning, Anthony, but it just goes to show how little regard some people have for common sense. And when I think about this woman right here, the Shannon Faraday, she doesn't deserve to be on the bench. This is not someone who can look at something logically and then can render a verdict. It is clear that this person is an ideologue. It is clear that this person has an agenda. You don't need to look at the rest of her cases. I don't need to look at the history of her on the bench. I can look at this right here and I can know this is not a person fit for this position.
Yep.
What do you look at these families and say, Shannon Faraday? Like, think about this, everybody. Think about what a moron this judge has to be. She has to sit there in her courtroom and render this verdict. And then, Anthony, she's got to turn around and look at these families in the eye and tell them with her verdict, or she surely doesn't have, the guts to tell them personally, the life of your loved one, each of you, is worth less than 2 years apiece. Because we need to show some leniency to this kid over here who killed them. Are you out of your mind? What kind of world do we live in where that's the kind of accountability that people have? This judge is awful. She needs to be removed from the bench. This is something I'd expect from Florida, but if you had to take another state, California is exactly where you'd go with this one. I couldn't believe when I heard 4 years and 8 months, and I don't want to hear it from one other person 5 years. Okay. No, didn't get 5 years. Didn't even get close to it. 4 years and 8 months from this judge. I cannot believe the insanity that is going out there in California, everybody. Anthony, you have any one? I know we've already done some short form content on this one. It's extremely emotional to watch this. You have any thoughts on this one after we talked about it a little bit more?
No, I mean, the only thing I could really think of is like, so with her thing was saying goes like the youth. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Exact.
So it is she gave him a leniency because of I want to make sure I tag it right. I'm going back up. I want to say it right. Here we go. His young age qualified him for what's called youth offender status. She pointed to a lack of his criminal record and that the crash was not intentional as her reasons for giving a lenient sentencing down.
So I looked at the youth that like act, and so like I can understand with the law that they can only give a max with that particular thing, only 10 years, but give him the max. Like I'm okay with giving him 10 years for that, but don't give him 4.5 or 4 months. That's
4 years and 8 months.
8 months. That's crazy.
So that's exactly the point, is that this individual, and you make a great point. I'm glad you brought that up, because this individual had the potential to get 10 years, even under the youth offender status that she references. So even though he was young and she thought he deserved leniency, you could have given him that leniency. It was already built into the law. The law had already built it in by giving him half of the maximum, which would have been 10 years. And then what you do as a judge, if you have any common sense and you're looking at families in your courtroom that have lost a person needlessly from an individual who broke our laws to come into this country, is you say, I'm going to give you the max that's allowed by law under your youth offender status that you have, because that's the right thing to do for the families that are in my courtroom right now. Because I'm a reasonable judge, not, well, I could give you 10 years. And that would be half of the maximum because you do qualify. But I'm going to give you less than half of that. Why? Well, you know what? It wasn't intentional. And you've got a pretty good record. As she says, he had a lack of criminal record. How'd you get here? Well, criminally? Oh, does that make sense?
Yeah, honestly, just makes me sad because justice was not served in this case.
Justice was not served, Anthony. This is anything but justice. And I feel so deeply sorry for the people who lost their lives. And of course, the families that have to look at, like, what if you were a family in that courtroom just sitting there going, huh? What? 3 years, this guy's going to be out probably about 70% he'll serve, and then he'll get out. And so he'll get out in like 3 for triple, killing 3 people with a semi that were what? On their road, just minding their own business. Yeah. This is absolutely despicable, man. I'll tell you. But yeah, worst person of the week, Shannon Faraday. Go look her up. Surely we hope that she gets this video from us because this is not an individual that should be on the bench. And yeah, I really wish this individual was in Florida. It guarantees she see our content. Too bad that she's not. I want to talk about this next one, everybody. Did you know that there are thousands of cameras across Florida that are taking pictures of you when you drive on the road? They're called flock cameras, everybody. And I'm not talking about red light cameras. There's a big difference. Flock cameras are set up on roads to take pictures of every vehicle that goes by. Unlike red light cameras that just are taking the picture of you when you run the red light or you break the law. Flock cameras are also going to be a lot more detailed. They get things like AI, or they a lot more detail in the respect they use AI to pick up things like not just your license plate, but the color of your car, the make and model. If you've got a Buc-ee sticker that's on the back of it, it's going to pick that up as well. There are about 6,000 of these that are being used throughout Florida and about 100,000 that are being used across the country. And they're coming under attack right now from a potential governor of the state. And what happened is that he came here to Orlando a couple of days ago, and the Republican candidate for governor, James Fishback, stood outside the federal courthouse in Orlando, and he's demanding that these cameras be removed. And he said, we must block flock now. And he is citing, what's it called? He's citing privacy concerns for this thing, saying that these cameras are an invasion of privacy for American citizens and for Floridians. And so it's not just a Florida issue. This is happening everywhere. And so while you may think as a Republican out there, like, okay, privacy, I want to get behind this, not so fast, everybody, because actually there are a number of county sheriffs who are for the flock system that is being put in place. And so while I normally am sitting on the side of, hey, listen, I want less and less government, I think that what Fishback is doing right here is introducing more government by offering the restriction of these flock cameras. Let me explain. When I see something like this, I want the county sheriff who is elected by the people of his county to make the decision for his county whether to use cameras like this. This seems to be very reasonable. Just like when you have the abortion or women's rights issues. Well, let's take it out of the national landscape and put it down to the state. The more local we can get with decisions like this, I normally feel like the better it is because it removes one layer of government. This is a case where I want the local governments making the decision for whether to use these flock cameras. And I see both sides. The people that like them, what they look at, let's take like a sheriff, okay? In fact, we cited one of the sheriffs right here who was the Volusia County sheriff who's defended them and said that these cameras had helped with investigations into solving cases. Here's how. These cameras use AI, and therefore what they can do in the sheriff's office is go, okay, we're on the lookout for a white pickup truck with a ladder on the top. And as I said, a Buc-ee sticker on the back. License plate begins with the letter D. Okay. You're not picking that up on a red light camera. But these flock cameras, every time they see a car, they're taking a picture of it and putting it into the memory. That memory lasts for about 30 days. And so they're able to go in as a sheriff's office, find that vehicle, see where it's been, and then go, oh, that vehicle always goes through that intersection at 2 p.m. every single day. They can set up people there. They can go get this person and take a bad person off of the streets. What Fishback is saying is that these cameras are an invasion of privacy and that the government is too involved there in taking pictures of people, which is a Fourth Amendment violation. I get that side too. The people for the cameras and the people that are for them, like Volusia County Sheriff and others, are saying they're not taking pictures of the people. They're taking pictures of the vehicle, and then we're using that information to solve crimes and get justice. I can see both sides. That's why, folks, We always get rid of as much government as possible, put it to the local level, and let sheriffs decide, who are elected by the people, whether to use this in their county. Personally, I'm for it. I think this is a good thing because of exactly what I said. Using AI with this camera system to make sure that we can find criminals is a positive thing to me. Now, if you're telling me that they're doing facial recognition, things like that, that's where I draw the line right there. But a person's vehicle on a public road that is traveling and they're taking pictures and they're saying, okay, listen, we're going to use this right here to solve crimes. I see a net positive coming out of this, not net negative on this one, Anthony. Although I do understand why people would be against this.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, I think it's going to be just an overall positive thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's going to be some people that are going to be mad. But I think really, like, I always think of like the Amber Alerts that I got, the text messages where it's like, hey, we're on a lookout for this vehicle with this license plate.
Yes.
And if that person can get picked up in like the next 5 minutes instead of 5 hours for like a tip,
Good point.
that 5 hours and 5 minutes
Great
makes a
point.
big difference with those type of cases. And honestly, if they could solve like one of those, that is just great to me.
Here, Anthony. I couldn't agree with you more, brother. It's such a great point. Like when you see these Amber Alerts and things like that, imagine a system which we have in place now with these flock cameras, where sheriffs can go in and go, "We are looking for this vehicle. Let's do a data search." Even if they can't find the vehicle in real time, they may be able to find where that vehicle has been in the last week. And if they can do that and locate where this person is, then they can put cops and police officers on that street and around that area to locate an individual. And I get it. Like, I get the other side where people say, I don't want the government taking pictures, invading my privacy and my rights. I surely do understand that. But I think, like with a lot of things, we have to look at, is this a net negative or is this going to be a net positive? I see a positive on this one. And when I already see things like red light cameras that have been introduced, I don't see this as being as much of a slippery slope as maybe if you would have told me 20 years ago they were doing this. So maybe the government has done a great job of wearing me down. Guilty as charged. Perhaps that's the case. But I think that overall, if you're a family that's out there looking for your child who has been abducted or something terrible has happened, you're going to be very happy that a service and a system like this is in place in Florida. It is not local, everybody. 100,000 of these readers are being used across the country. And like I said, about 6,000 are being used right now in Florida. There's been multiple sheriffs, Volusia County, Hernando County sheriffs that have come out in support of this. So I know I have a lot of Fishback supporters who watch the show who want to see a Fishback governor. I get it. Cool. But I think on this one, this was more grandstanding than it was actual policy. Let's leave this one to the sheriffs of each county. And that way they can, because they're responsible for the crime in their county. And so they should be responsible for how they go and solve those crimes. I love what we're doing here in the greater Orlando area using the drone program. It cost the city about $6 million, almost $7 million, $6.8 million to introduce a drone program in Orlando that is now about a month and a half into being utilized. And everything I hear about this program is positive. I generally feel the more technology for policing, the better. Because we have a lot of people out there that are looking to commit crimes. And a criminal today is smarter than a criminal was 30 years ago. And we must have technology to combat the sickos that are in this world. This is one of them. And I believe it's something that should continue to be utilized in the state. The final point I'll make on this, everybody, although we have 100,000 of these that are being used, I encourage private businesses to invest in these. Invest in these in your home, in your neighborhood, if you have an HOA. Invest in these in private property, because just because the government or Fishback, whoever it is, says they may not be good for roads, I also think it's a great system to have on private property to be taking pictures and doing and documenting cases there. Really good stuff. Surprised to see a Republican come out so strong against this. I've got to think that maybe he'd come back and reconsider once these sheriffs start talking about the cases that have been solved thanks to this technology. But who am I? I'm not running for governor. He is.
Yep.
By the way, speaking of governor, we're going to have lieutenant governor right here on set tomorrow. Couldn't be more excited. Jay Collins, the real deal, man. Former Green Beret, lieutenant governor of the state of Florida. I'm a fan. I'm going to be asking some tough questions, though, just because I'm a fan. Doesn't mean he's getting by without tough questions, okay? I like the man's work.
Not that's a coward Byron Donald's not even doing anything.
I'm like, yeah, Byron Donald's out there. If Byron Donald's could hear this, share this with Byron Donald's. Talk about just a complete coward. What Byron Donald's is doing before we get into our third story, which is actually about the state of Florida and the number of people that are on death row right now, everybody. You're going to be shocked at this number of what's happening. But, I mean, here you go. There's a transition for you, Anthony. Byron Donald's is trying to kill this election for Republicans, all right, by not showing up. You've got to be willing to show up and debate. People have got – what's happened is that Byron Donald's is a very smart campaign manager, because I would be advising him to do exactly what he's doing right now if I was his campaign manager. Hey, Byron, this is how the conversation looks, everybody. They're sitting in the back of a black Tahoe, and Byron's watching my podcast, right? And he's like, I should get out there and debate. Patrick's right. You know, James or whoever, I need to get out here and I need to do a debate. And James, who's his, fictional campaign manager, looks at him and he goes, Byron, listen, man, you got $90 million in the bank. Most polls show that you're up by 20 points or so. There is no way I'm letting you touch a debate stage or go on that Patrick Carr guy's show. You only have something to lose. And then Byron looks back at him and he's like, I guess you're right. I'll just keep on going to like little police offices and, retiree communities and HOA board meetings. And I'll tell them we're going to look out for you and we got your back. And then James goes, good shot, Byron. That's what's going to make you governor of Florida. And that's what we're electing, everybody. Somebody who we're expecting is going to be the next DeSantis, right? But he's not. Does anyone believe that if Byron Donalds was in place in Florida back in 2020 and 2021, we get the same Florida that we have today? Not a chance in the world that happens. And I'm going to give you may not like Jay Collins. You may not appreciate some of the things the man stands for. Maybe you think he's too far, he's set in his ways, but at least it's the devil that you know. All right. You know what you're going to get with the man. He is going to stand for what Florida is right now. He's not going to give an inch. And I appreciate that. People don't always have to agree with what we say on this show. You may disagree, but at least you know where I stand, because I'm going to give you an opinion and we're going to stick with it. We're going to admit when we're wrong and hold ourselves accountable. And I can be the first one to do it. Jay Collins is that guy for me. I'm standing by it. I'm going to continue to stand by it because it's going to be better than Donald's. I promise you. Whoever is electing this guy, I haven't found one Republican, I'll be honest, that's excited about this dude. Not one. We talk to a lot of people, Anthony. You sit right here and watch how many meetings I have every single day. Not one Republican. Every Republican says the same thing about Donald's, everybody. He's the front runner. I guess he's probably going to be the guy because he's the front runner. We got 5 weeks, everyone. Donald's needs to get on a show like ours, come here, answer some real questions, and not to skate by going to HOA board meetings and talking to 5 people and getting some cell phone clips from him acting like he's tough.
I feel like a lot of people don't really even know what he does. He's just like, he's endorsed by Trump. All right, I guess I like him too. But it's like, got to know what he's doing. And
no one has a clue what this guy stands for.
Nope.
And that's a problem. But what they're doing is they're taking a calculated risk right now. We got 90 million. If anybody starts to kind of creep their way up in the polls, here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and slap a crap ton of advertising behind an area, build back up the base. That's the Trump base right there. And we're going to make sure we get better turnout in that area for you, Donalds. We have the money. Don't worry about anything. That's their plan. Their plan is just to keep him like it was like Biden's plan leading up to put him in the basement, Don't let him speak or say anything stupid. Make sure that everything is planned out for him so he doesn't open his mouth and get a soundbite or get anything on the news. And we can coast our way through this sleepy election into being governor of Florida. And that's what they're banking on. And folks, I'm going to tell you, go watch Byron Donalds in like an environment I saw one of these HOA meetings or something he was at, sitting at some table with what looked like exactly that, bunch of like an HOA sitting around. It's awkward. Okay. I don't care about policy. Forget policy for a minute. Let's just look at how it visually looks. The guy looks awkward. All right. He does not look like a dude I want to go have a drink with, have a beer with, that understands what's going on to the real small business owner. Doesn't look like a guy that's really going to care what's going on in my business. He looks like a guy that is bought and paid for by big special interest groups where you get $90 million and that's how you build it. And I'm going to tell you this, when somebody has $90 million, that means they have 90 million reasons to be beholden to somebody else's opinion. They have 90 million reasons to do what somebody else tells them to do and not be able to think for themselves. This is not the kind of individual that is going to stand up for a free Florida against national interest. And if you won't even step up and have the spine to debate people, how can people expect you to have a spine to stand up for this state? They won't. Grow a pair. Actually take a chance on yourself like small business owners do every single day in this damn state. We all have to get up and work hard and make payroll and make it work with taxes and deal with local governments who don't give a crap about us. But at least, for the past 4 years and however long, we've had ourselves a governor who seemed to care about what was going on at the local level, who seemed to care about issues that we did. And now we've got a guy who, in my opinion, is just a Trump appointee at this point because Trump knows he can dig his fingers in and mold the guy however he wants. That's what we're looking at right now. Wake up, Florida. This is not the guy to lead this state. This is not a leader. A leader goes out there and debates. A leader will step up and make himself known. A leader will take questions. A leader will sit down on podcasts and say, ask me what you need to ask me because I don't need to hide behind anything. You don't sit behind all your money. You don't sit down there in Naples, Florida, sitting on the beach doing whatever with cupcake 65-year-olds who have no idea what's going on, but they recognize you from your 8 years, wherever you spent out there, so they'll vote for you.
Yep.
Byron Donalds in a freaking nutshell. Come on, man. Like we know that whoever wins the Republican nomination is going to win the state. Democrats don't have a chance because all this election is who's going to keep things like DeSantis. I mean, like if DeSantis could run again, DeSantis is running and he'd win in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. All right. It's like DeSantis right now is like the closest thing you can come to Grady Judd. That's how I look at it. Which, speaking of which, bro, why can we not get a Grady Judd on the ticket? You want to talk about, I will go on the road for Grady Judd. All right. I will do this show traveling to campaign for Grady Judd to be governor of Florida. Grady Judd wants me to get on that damn ice cream truck and hand out ice cream. I'm handing out ice cream for that campaign. If you're Grady Judd and you want to run for governor in the next 10 years, you call up this show and you let me know where I need to volunteer all of my time because you are what Florida needs. Grady Judd, Grady Judd, Grady Judd. And then I'll do everything for that guy. That's what we need. I thought he was going to do it. I remember like last year when I saw him on the PBD podcast, I thought Grady Judd was going to run.
Oh, he did? Was he talking about it?
Well, he went on the PBD podcast and like, that was a unique move for Grady Judd. Like, because he's not normally a guy outside of some TikTok, he does some videos, some cheesy stuff like online and all that stuff, like on his Instagram in Polk County. Cool. But to go on a show like that was more of a national show that he was going on. Yes, it's got a Florida audience, but it was the first time I saw him really start to open up about other cases, about how he feels about politics. And I thought, this guy's gearing up to be a governor race right now. But he didn't move forward with it. I was surprised and disappointed. So Polk County gets to keep him over there. All right, folks, if you weren't aware, I want to move into our third story right now. Last night here in Florida, the 10th individual was executed on death row this year. That is right. There have been 10 executions now in the state of Florida in 2026. Now think about that. There's 10. How many do you think there've been across the nation? Try 16. So well over half, the majority of executions so far in 2026 have come at the behest of the state of Florida. Last night, a 74-year-old was strapped to a chair at 6:16. And this dates back. We're not going to go into the crimes that this person committed. They're sick and they're awful, and I'm glad that he's no longer here. Now, there are 2 more that are scheduled for July 28th. It's the first time in history there will be 2 in one day. All right. So, since there became a death penalty back in 1976, Florida has done this to 134 people, all at the same prison. Right now, there are 242 inmates on death row, and about half of them have run out of appeals. That means the governor can simply sign death warrants at any time. Governor DeSantis oversaw a record 19 of these executions in 2025 alone, and most of them the most of any Florida governor has ordered in a single year. Crazy what we have going on here in Florida. I freaking love it. There you go. I said it. I like the fact that Florida is leading the way right now in this. And people go, oh my gosh, Patrick, you like that? Yes, I like law and order. And I'm going to tell you what, when you have awful people in this world, awful people who want to do bad things to other people, you need to make sure you have penalties in place to deal with those awful people. And that is this. Yeah. That is saying that if you're going to be the worst among us, you are going to get the worst possible penalty. I love the fact that Florida is leading the way in true law and order right here. Mm-hmm. Now, do I think that it's too humane? Yes, I do. I like what was it, Iowa or Idaho? One of the two.
I think it's Idaho.
Idaho that we did a story on. They brought back the firing squad.
Yeah.
All in on that. Yay to them. All right. Now, for those of you who have been in Florida, y'all know how it used to go down. They called it Old Sparky. This is a real thing in Florida. And actually, let's see if I can go back here. Let's see. There. In 1923, the state took over and built the electric chair. The first man died in the chair, nicknamed Old Sparky. In October of 1924, Florida used it until 1999 when it switched to the injection. Now that's what they need to go back to.
Sparky?
Yeah. Heck yeah. Go back to that thing. I've never understood that part, to be very frank with you, because I want to tell you why I'm telling you this story. Obviously, there was one of these that went down last night. Mm-hmm. There's another couple that are coming up in a couple of weeks. It is obvious that DeSantis is going to break his record again and sign more of these death warrants. And so he'll do well over 19 this year. And people think, well, why is this something to be celebrated? It's because we need to take the stigma away that when you get this sentence handed to you, that it's somehow just 40 years that you're going to sit on death row. I want people to know that when that sentence is given, you are going to receive that penalty. You don't get to sit there in prison for 20 years. I get it. There's got to be an appeals process, but we need to move forward quickly with this so that individuals who are considering doing awful and heinous things to other people know there will be a penalty to pay, a price to pay quickly for their crimes. Not sitting there going, well, okay, yeah, but I'm going to stick around in this jail for 30 years. Why do appeal after appeal? No. I like the fact that DeSantis is saying, you know what? I'm on my way out here, but I'm going to make sure that the worst among us receive that penalty that they were issued by a judge. And I like that. Yeah. Let's make sure there's law and order, and the way to do that is with stiff, quick penalties just like this that are implemented by our governor, that we don't sit around and just tell people, well, you have an unlimited amount of time. Let's get this stuff done. Let's get it done, everybody. And I like what Florida's doing.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of can't come up with any names right now, but like I know like where it's like they're sitting in there for like 40 years, and it's like, how are you still there on the death row? Not
yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, like, for instance, let's see here. The guy from last night was 74 years old. All right. His crime was back in 1982.
Really?
Yeah. The one that's coming up, the two that are coming up, the crime was in 1987 and 1986 for the other guy. We're talking about 40-year-old crimes. These people have sat there on death row. Let's make it happen. Okay? These are the worst people among us. They've had appeal after appeal after appeal. Folks, we know. Time to get done. All right? And the reason I say that, and I'm so adamant about it, is that when the worst among us do these kinds of crimes, they leave behind families, don't they?
Mhm.
They leave behind people that deserve justice for their loved one. And that justice is doing what the sentence, following through on the sentence. That's the justice here.
For 40 years, that
40 years.
that family just waiting there, waiting till see what's gonna happen, and they're just hearing all these appeals going on, and that's probably just really heartbreaking for them, just hearing, oh, they have an appeal, so then they might get out or something, and it's just sad.
It's piss poor the way we do it.
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, you know the most famous person that ever was strapped to old Sparky?
Wasn't it, I know. It was
He's like the most famous serial killer of all
I
time.
know. It's
Come on,
right
you
now,
got this.
it's on the tip of my tongue. The one from UF and
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that he was in the courthouse in downtown Orlando?
That's where it was?
Yeah, the courthouse that he escaped from was downtown Orlando.
Really?
Yeah.
One more thing
Remember-
Orlando screwed up.
Remember that ghost story that I went on? That ghost thing?
No.
Yeah. Or I did like a ghost experience.
Oh, you went on that ghost tour. Yeah, you went on the ghost
Yeah.
tour.
And that was the first thing he was like saying. He's like, oh, this courthouse right here was where Ted Bundy was like got his thing going.
God, man. Yeah, that happened back in 1989. So there you go, everybody. But Florida leading the way in this one. I know it. Is it sick? Yeah, okay, whatever. But I like the fact that we're leading the way in this. I like it. So kudos to Florida. Keep signing them away there, DeSantis. Get that pin out, and one after the other, let's make it happen. Doing 2 in a day on July the 28th. I like the way that we're headed. I like the path we're going down here. Okay, this one right here, I got to admit, there are people that are going to be on both sides of this. Let's see if I can do this. How do I say it? Because I know people, they're going to get fired up, Anthony. Daylight savings time. Should we keep it or should it go? Should we keep it like it is right now in the summer where we get longer days, or do people like it when we get shorter days like it is in the winter? What do you prefer, Anthony?
Honestly, just get rid of this daylight savings thing. It's so annoying. I wake up and I'm like, oh crap, I just lost an hour of sleep or
Uh-huh. Okay. You're not the only one. All right. On Tuesday this week, July the 14th, U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill called the Sunshine Protection Act. I mean, who comes up with these names? The Sunshine Protection Act. My God. The vote was 308 to 117. If it becomes law, the whole country would stay on daylight saving time all year long. No more springing forward or falling back. No more losing an hour of sleep every single March, which we just found out that Anthony does not like. Now, it had a strong Florida fingerprint on this one right here. There have been some Florida Republicans that have been championing this thing for a long time. I don't know why Florida's been at the front of this, probably because we get a lot more sunshine than what everybody else does. It is not law yet. We still have to make it through the Senate to make this thing happen. I, for one, am hoping that they do, although doctors are saying this is not a good thing, everybody. So one of the controversies around daylight savings time becoming just permanent, okay, and getting more sunshine is that many doctors feel that this is not the best thing for humans, for Americans just in general, because we're keeping that sunlight out longer according to how we're awake in our cycles, and that it's not going to be as good for our sleep patterns as Americans. For me, I could care less. I just want there to be more sunshine and less of that dark crap where it gets dark like at 5 o'clock. If we can push that back to 6, let's make it 6 in the winter. I don't need this stuff to fall back and make it darker even sooner. I feel like sometimes, man, it's like, I don't know, it feels like it's dark by like 4:30. I can't imagine how they feel up in the north where it's, I mean, sometimes it feels like it barely even gets light out there. We need every bit of sunshine we can get down here in the Sunshine State.
You know that I think it's Arizona doesn't do daylight savings time.
They just said the heck with it. They said,
Yeah.
screw y'all.
But it's so weird when you go to Utah and then you travel to Arizona. It's like a 2-hour difference in its system.
I've often thought about that. Like, no, like not daylight savings time, but think about those people who live right on the edge between, let's say, Central time zone and Eastern time zone. Like there's got to be people that are right down like the middle of this thing, right?
Yeah.
And so which one, when they're going to like work, how do they do this? That's to be so annoying if you're in like a city that's like right on the line right there, and part of the city is on Eastern and maybe part of the city is on Central.
Or it's like you live in one state, but it's like a 20-minute drive to the other state. So
Right.
it's like you wake up an hour early just to get to work at the same time.
I really do believe that this is a good thing. I think daylight savings time at this time is just at this time. Okay, pun intended. But I think daylight savings time is ridiculous that we keep on doing this. Let's just have one time that we keep year round, makes it simple on everybody. And we all can agree, even though maybe we're not doctors, that doctors are, look, they got some kind of like spell they're putting on me. Like, oh yeah, you don't like that? Here, cough. I think we all can agree it's a lot more simple for Americans not to have to worry about this crap. And we all want more sunshine. Okay. Yeah. We live in the sunshine state down here in Florida. Wherever you're watching, it is beautiful out today. I'm looking at the sun. I want more of that. I don't want less of that, Anthony.
Wasn't the whole reason of daylight savings was like farmers and stuff? So the crops, something.
That's World War II oil. Something. Like, I don't remember.
It's like, we're 2026.
Aren't you the fucking I'm sorry, language. Beep. Aren't you the beep? I'm sorry. Aren't you the producer? Like, can't you look that up? Where did daylight savings time even come from? And there's probably some viewer who watched this like, you guys are idiots. You don't even know where it comes from. It's like, no, I just know I want more sunshine. So I don't know why this would be like something that people are not passing. Luckily, the House, 308 to 117. Who's the 117 who are like, I do kind of like fast forward, falling back, and I like that spring forward, fall back thing. I really am into that. Who's the 117 who voted against it? Why would you vote against this? I mean, yeah, I get it. Some doctor who thinks that, oh my Lord, our clocks are going to be thrown off. Listen, whatever that's going to be will be more than made up for by the fact that people get a couple extra hours of sunshine every week. Maybe they can enjoy the sunset, a beach, whatever else a little bit longer. I think that's better for our health than, maybe our internal clock getting right. So hopefully this one comes through. Enough of this daylight savings time crap. Let's get rid of it, okay? All right, everybody. I want to turn our attention to Florida. Did you know, Anthony, that there are a lot of millionaires who are making our laws in Florida? For those of you who are not aware, recently there were disclosures from our lawmakers on the amount of money that they are making. And you might be surprised to learn that the salary is $29,000 a year to be a Florida lawmaker in our House and the Senate. That's right, $29,000 a year, basically a part-time job. So how the heck are there so many millionaires? In fact, there are a lot of them. 70 out of the 160 lawmakers in the state of Florida are millionaires, with an average net worth in the Senate of $5.9 million and $1.7 million in the House. Again, everybody, the salary is $29,000 a year. Now, this count, it keeps on growing. It hasn't always been this way, Anthony. So get this. Back in 2011, there were 46 millionaires. By 2016, 55 millionaires. 62 just a couple of years ago. And now that number has grown to 70 millionaires that are in our House and our Senate in Florida. Very interesting. Now, at the very top, the wealthiest member, Broward County representative named Kevin Steele, he's worth about $152 million. Okay. So this is a crazy number right there. Obviously, he's not in it for the money right there. There are 7 lawmakers that reported a negative net worth, usually from student loans or mortgage that they carry. Why am I covering this to everybody? Well, the reason is because when I look at the landscape of Florida, this is one of the things I really don't like. And I want to point our attention to Daniel Perez. He's the Speaker of the Florida House. He's a Republican from Miami. He's an attorney. He's been in the office since 2017. So about 8 years of making that 29,000 right there. In his newest financial disclosure, he filed this month, he put his net worth at $3.5 million. Pretty big jump from where he started. And when I see this, I think to myself, okay, 3.5, he's not even above the average in the Senate, which again is $5.9 million. So you have all of these people that are making a very low salary, but yet somehow are leaving the House and the Senate 8 years later worth millions of bucks. Wonder how that could happen. This is the problem with politics. This is the problem that people have at local, state, national level. This is what pisses people off who are citizens, because you sit there and it's like they're telling you, hey, look, I'm literally doing a financial disclosure. You have no idea how I made this money, and there's not a thing you can do about it. But believe me, I'm on your side, Florida. No, you're not. And this to me is where corruption, how would I put it? I don't believe that there's corruption here with everybody. Not everyone who makes a bunch of money is corrupt. Take DeSantis, for instance. His disclosure had 2.2 million when he did his disclosure. And almost all of that, though, came from a book deal. Good for him. He made money on his book. Great. All right. Now, the House Speaker, I don't know where he's making his money. And I think that most people would look at the Senate and go, really? $5.9 million is what these guys on average are worth? And I think everyone would go, yeah, they're probably taking that money from somewhere. And while they go ahead and they disclose where their money is and all that, everyone looks at this and goes, this guy doesn't get me, doesn't understand me. How could he? I'm barely making ends meet. Aren't I supposed to be electing local people who like understand my plight in the world? And the guy who's making, $40,000 a year, he's a tech for an HVAC company, and he reads this article and goes, hold on, these guys elected to making $29,000 a year are worth $5.9 million on average. I thought these guys were looking out for me. No, they're not. And you can't expect somebody who's been somewhere for 8 years, who's got millions of dollars that they're worth, to really understand their constituents. You can't. And you know what? People are going to say, well, look at Donald Trump. You got it right, Pat. Donald Trump is that way. Listen, I'm not talking about national politics, okay? I'm not. I'm talking about the state level right now. So I want to be very clear. The state level is different than the national level interest. It is. And I look at this and I think to myself, we have a growing number of millionaires, but the salary is not growing. So the people that are making our laws are people that are out of touch with the struggles, the things that somebody is going through in our state. And that is not a good recipe for the people that are citizens to trust the lawmakers and what they're doing. That is why shows like ours are so important, because we must get out there and we must have a voice for people who feel like they don't have a voice anymore. You may disagree with me. You may not like me as a person. You may think my take is stupid. Okay. But I'm going to tell you what we do over here. We are a voice for people that otherwise may feel they don't have one. We do read the comments that people send to us at times, or the messages, and we try to do it the right way because of this right here, Anthony. Because we realize that when you've got over half of the lawmakers in Florida that are millionaires, it's going to be very difficult for them to understand what you're going through in your life. And just like I had to stop my show earlier today because I had to take a sales call, all right, I have to run a small business. Maybe you do too. Maybe you work for a small business like my employees work for me. I really work for them more than anything. Anthony, you can probably attest to that. I probably work harder for them, but that's okay. And I think this is what's wrong with politics, Anthony. How is this acceptable to people? And I don't think that it is, but I think we've kind of chalked this up as, well, it's just the way that it is. Nothing I can do about it. And people see this and go, it sucks. It's awful. It shouldn't be this way, but what can I do? And like us or hate us, I don't know. We're going to try to do our part to change this because it shouldn't be this way.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know what the changes would be. Would it be like you can't go in a certain? I don't know, but it's definitely just kind of. I just want to at least put it aware that this is what's going on, and I feel like that's what we're trying to do because I don't know if it's right, because I think Just us as citizens just should have someone out there that's looking out for us and not looking out for.
Yeah. So here's the way I look at this, okay? We need full disclosure at the government level, all right? At every level. I'll give you an example. At the national level, the people in our Senate and our House at the national level should not be able to invest in stocks. That's just a simple thing. And every American knows that in their heart. How can you tell me that people can be privy to information before the public and that somehow they don't use that information to their benefit? Same thing at the local level that we have here. All right. These people need to be held to a higher standard, not the same standard. And if you really want to look at it, I believe that if we really want to kind of look at how this all goes down, if you've got 170 lawmakers in the state, pay them more money. People think, well, pay them less. No, that's not the answer. To pay them more. Because then what you have is you have less of an opportunity or reason for that individual to go out there and to get money from special interest groups because you're making $29,000 a year. Think about that guy who comes in there. He doesn't have any savings. He's got school loans. He's trying to do things the right way. And someone pulls up and it's $60,000 right there that they can take and put it into their bank. Okay, very difficult to say no to that. If I'm making $150K a year, I'm living comfortably and I'm doing what I love. It's much easier to go, no, I'm not interested in something like that. And there's not the temptation to be there.
Yeah.
We need to pay these people more, not less. And we need to make sure that we hold them to a higher standard, not the same standard as a citizen. And so when I look at these disclosures, we need to have people that go, where did this money come from? How are you worth $3.5 million? What happened over the last 8 years, each year that you were there in Congress? I want to know where that money came from. And this should be a disclosure that's on the front page of every paper. It should be something that goes out to citizens to where we're able to look at that person and go, this is where their money came from right there. And I'm going to be honest. Some people, I'll get comments on this. Go, there is that, Patrick. You just go right here. Okay, I'm uninformed. But you know what I am? I'm just like everybody else. For the 3 people that'll watch this and tell me it's exactly right here. Here's the link, you idiot. I know that, and I'm not a podcaster. Yeah, I'm like 99% of other people in the state. And if I don't know it, surely somebody else doesn't know it, and no one has a clue what they can even do about it. And so this is the reason I bring attention to it, Anthony, is that we need more disclosure, more transparency at every level, because these are individuals that are making a lot of money as lawmakers, and none of it makes sense when you're making $29K a year. That's pre-tax.
I almost feel like I don't know. I think I don't know how it is right now. I'm a little ignorant on this, but I feel like there should be like a thing where it's like you can't donate or give money to these lawmakers where it's like, oh, hey, I have this company and such pass this law for this reason. I'll give you this amount of money for this.
Mhm.
And I feel like there should be some, I don't know if there's a law right now on it, but I feel like there shouldn't be something where people can get money besides from what they're getting from the salaries currently.
I know there are, we just don't know them. And I don't have that information. And that's, people would say, well, it's stupid for me to open my mouth. Okay. I have an opinion. I can look at the general numbers and I can say there's a problem.
Yeah.
I don't need to know the details to know that if the average in our Senate is let's say 6 and 5.9, $6 million, we got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to know every single campaign law and campaign finance and how it all works to know that we got an issue. And that's what an average Floridian is thinking, is that they're going, I'm barely making ends meet right now. And you're telling me that a guy making $29K a year is somehow leaving after 8 years with $8 million in the bank? How is that possible?
Yeah.
And again, I don't need to know every law to know something's wrong there.
And
use some common sense here, people.
You can just feel that they're just not looking after you as a person. It feels like they're
not. And you're right. That's the problem, because people want to feel like, hey, I've got someone there that's looking after my interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that people feel that way, especially when they read how much somebody's worth and the problems that they might be experiencing versus them.
Yep.
We're going to move on to our next story, everybody. And this one, I am pulling. Well, this is an interesting one, Anthony. Let's kind of go through this one. There was a woman in Ormond Beach back in December of 2024. Her name is Shanna McCree. She was arrested in December of 2024 for a DUI after rear-ending a motorcycle. She should pay, in my opinion, before we get into this, pay the penalty, pay the price for her DUI. Okay. There's no getting out of that. That's a terrible crime. She needs to pay a penalty for it. But at the station, while she was handcuffed, Officer Jacob Cannon threw her on the floor. She hit a wall, then hit the ground, needed 7 stitches in her forehead. She was left with a scar. It is a violent thing to watch. Anthony, you've seen this one, right?
No, not yet.
What? Have you not looked this one up?
Not yet.
Folks, I encourage you, take a look at this. If we don't have it right now, you can put in Ormond Beach DUI or something like that. You can put in Shannon McCree, or Shanna McCree. That is SHANNAMCREE. It's back in 2024. She is in what appears to be the police station with her hands handcuffed behind her back when an officer violently grabs her, throws her to the ground, concussing her, multiple stitches. It is a violent thing to see for a man to do this to another woman. Now, this is not a dispute for whether the officer was out of line. The officer, in fact, pleaded no contest to felony battery. He was actually sentenced to 6 months in jail and 2 years of probation. He lost his police certification. The department's own internal review found that he used excessive force and then lied about it. And this week, McCree has filed her lawsuit. Now, it starts to get interesting because people would normally say, well, it's a violent thing, but she's only going to get the statutory maximum in this case because Florida protects local municipalities from getting sued for millions upon millions of dollars, and it caps it at $300,000 thanks to Florida statute 76828. But you know what it doesn't cap is federal cases, and that is exactly what McCree is going to do. She did not file a state lawsuit against Ormond Beach. She filed a federal civil rights lawsuit, and federal civil rights claims are not limited by the Florida cap under 76828. So I had this assumption, like you might, that she's only going to get $300,000 despite the violent act that she had to go ahead and go through. But she could get far more. Now, in this case right here, she is going to claim that there's a civil rights issue, and she's going to go ahead and put them on the hook for a lot of money. Now, cities carry insurance for things exactly like this. They have a deep pocket, not the officer. So she's going to go after Ormond Beach on this one. The officer himself, yeah, he's going to get his civil suit. He is not protected by what is called immunity, what it's called, I can't remember what it's called. There's a defined immunity or something like that that he's protected by, but that disappears when he acts in bad faith, which of course he did. She's just not going to be able to get financial compensation out of that individual. So you better be sure she's going to be going after the city in this one. Most likely, this is a case that is going to settle, and I'm telling you, she is going to win. There is no judge, unless you're that stupid judge out in California, which is the worst person right now in America, only her, that would ever side with the city on this one. The city has already disciplined the officer. The city already put the officer in prison. The city knows the officer was acting in bad faith. They are 100% going to settle this with this woman, and she's just going to be able to name her amount. That is what we're looking at here. There is no way, after watching this footage, the city of Ormond Beach has a chance of winning this case. Not a chance in the world. It's violent. It's awful. And this officer deserved every day that he had in prison. Have you seen it yet?
No, I just watched it. Yeah.
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah. And she's literally, I
Handcuffed.
thought maybe she was going to do something like resist. She's literally doing nothing. She's just standing up, handcuffed, and then he just goes berserk.
No, I mean, she's standing there. For people who are watching like YouTube or something, she's like sitting there, standing with her hands handcuffed behind her. He takes it and grabs her and throws her down. She had no, and listen, for everybody who's never been handcuffed, by the way, I've a few times in my life, guilty, all right? You don't realize how constricting it is. When you put your hands behind your back without any handcuffs, you kind of feel like you can move around. When they're locked in, you have no balance at all. In fact, a lot of people, Anthony, you probably see this. You know, when people like you see police officers grabbing individuals, it's also for their safety as well. because it's difficult sometimes to keep your balance when you're walking with your hands behind your back. Now, if you add in the fact that this woman was arrested for what, everybody? DUI. So she probably doesn't have the best balance right there. And she's thrown to the ground. I mean, when I first saw it, Anthony, I thought, is this woman like, is this a fatality? Like when you watch it, she's not moving. She's out cold. This is not how I think Ormond Beach is. This is not how Ormond Beach wants to be looked at. But if I'm the attorney for Ormond Beach, I'm telling to get out the checkbook. I'm calling up the insurance company and going, guys, what's the biggest check we can write? Because we are definitely settling this case. We're not going to court on this one because there ain't no judge and no jury that's siding with us on this.
100%.
No way. So Ormond Beach, be smart, go to her, work it out, settle the claim outside of court because there ain't no way you're winning this case right here. I don't care if you got Morgan & Morgan or not. It'd be so cool if we had Morgan & Morgan as like a sponsor right now.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I'm not going to go into like we do, folks. I really don't. But then I was like, but if you had Morgan & Morgan, I've been watching all these police shows as we get to our last story of the day. You know, those, not police shows, but these YouTube channels.
Yeah. Like the dash cams.
Oh,
all
bro,
those.
I love it. My guy, Sergeant Curtis, is my favorite. He is the man. All right. And I bought his shirt last night. It said, this is one of those. He does like intro into like the police videos. And he said, how does he do them? I want to make sure I get it right. He says, a traffic stop turns into a wild police chase and ends in a fatality. This is one of those. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to watch this one. Sergeant Curtis is the guy's name. He got famous actually because he was on Theo Von.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a crisis negotiator out in Las Vegas and like part of their team out there. And he wrote this book. But now I watch his YouTube channel on a daily basis and wait for him to come out with the videos because he dissects them like a police officer and tells you what they did wrong and right. And I'm like, yeah, you tell him, Sergeant Curtis.
Yeah, I love
like
the
that
ones
guy.
where they like rank the officer and like the suspect too. They're like either the officer did really good, like he gets an A+, the suspect did like an F or something. Or I like
some of them are really good.
Yeah,
I like him. He's really good because some of them interrupt the video too much.
No, yeah.
Like you'll be watching it, like just let me watch. Stop interrupting. Just let me watch my police chase right here. I'm like, I'm all into it, bro. Let me tell you. Our last story of the day, everybody. Hope you're having a good time with us here on the Patrick Carr Show. We want to talk about what's going on over in DeLand. Man, little old DeLand out there, bro. Yeah. They are moving in. Get this, everybody. They got a new type of housing that is coming out their way, and it's shipping containers. They're called tiny homes, and they are coming to DeLand right now. It is not many of them. There's only going to be, it looks like 16 people in this small trial that DeLand is doing, but they are moving in these permanent mini houses, tiny homes. They're about 8 feet wide and 40 feet long, 1 and 2 bedroom units. And what I like about this is two things. Number one, they're permanent. So we're not talking about mobile homes that they carry on and off. Great for families. Cool. I like that they're permanent. Okay. Here's what I like, man. Private funding, everybody. I love private funding, not the government. This is when things work, when you get foundations and you get churches, local donations from people who want to see a difference in their community. The project needs $1.2 million. They've raised almost $800,000 and they're still fundraising right now. The idea for these homes is that residents stay in them for 2 years as they have a transitional housing off of the streets, someplace they can call their own, and then you get them into an apartment. Now, we can go out there and debate, everybody, whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, right? I mean, people will say, well, if you put people in these homes, they never move their way out of transitional housing into permanent housing. They just find their way back out into the streets, and we have all those people. Cool. But I look at this as a plus because it shows that you can do things at the private level without the government's assistance. And now why this is small, I want to say this, the project itself, it's just 10 units. I had that wrong. It is just 10 units. When it's finished, it will house 2 families and 14 individuals. But still, private money put this together. And so now we get a chance without government dollars to see if something like this works over the next 2 years. And if it does, they can begin to expand it. They can raise more money for stuff like this. These are the kind of programs I love to see, not started by government with wasteful spending, but you have people that are probably sitting on a board that are business owners who want to see a difference in their community. And so these people over here in DeLand are like, hey, let's try it. I'm not going to, give a lot, but if, here's a couple $1,000s for you all to go and try this experiment out over the next couple years, because if it works, we can lead the way in helping to transition people off of the streets and into better housing. Do I think it'll work? I don't know. But one thing I do like is private funding, not government waste. Because when you get bureaucracy involved at the government level, we all know what happens. Things stall. They don't get built. Budgets get cut. All these different stuff. When you've got private industry involved, these are people that go, okay, we've got 800,000. We need 1.2. We're going to take the loan out over here. We're going to keep on fundraising on this side. They have skin invested in the game. It's their money. It's their sweat equity. It's not like the government that just goes, oh, well, it's on a spreadsheet. Let's just mark that off or send this over here. This is people that are involved in the community that are making these choices, and that means they're affected by the choices they make. That is a win, in my opinion. I'm not sure how people in DeLand are going to feel about it, but from the outside looking in, I love this.
You know what what I love about it too is it's going to help out like 14 families or 2 families and 14 individuals. And guess what? Only $1.2 million, which if you look at everything, single thing we've done with Orlando, let's try to circle back to that. That's helping so many people for 1.2 million and freaking, what was it? I can't even remember the name.
You're on fire today, Anthony. You're absolutely right. Let's just round number this, okay? Let's just say it was 1 million for 15 people. That's about right. 1.2 is 2 and 14. So let's just go 1 million, 15 people are helped and they have homes. In Orlando, we're ripping up 500 feet of street to knock some curbs down and expand some sidewalks for 5 million people. 15 times 5, 75 people that could be helped with housing to transition them off of the streets, or we can rip up some bricks and expand some sidewalks. Wonder what the better choice is for Orlando. I love the fact, though, they didn't ask for government money. They did it privately in DeLand to try to help families and transition them off of the streets. Enough of the government being involved. The government will screw up everything. They're screwing up the streets in Orlando. They'll screw up the budget. They have no accountability because they're not the ones who have to raise the money. They're not the ones who have to live in the community. When you see things like this, this is how it should be. This is when churches get together, foundations, nonprofits get together and make something happen. This is a positive thing right here, everybody. Now, if you're living in DeLand, I know you may not think that way because let's be honest, if you're living there, you may think, what's going to happen in this area? Because is this going to become basically just a camp out for people that are homeless and are not going anywhere or doing anything with their life? And so I get the other side of it, but we have to try something. And I like the fact when people are thinking outside the box, containers kind of, it was a reach. Okay. They're thinking outside the box and putting these containers out there and saying, hey, we're going to try something different for families to get them off of the streets out here. And so Orlando, go rip up your streets for 5 million.
Or for 2 million, you can make some little drawings of what it's going to look like under I-4. That's
even better point. The drawings, 2 million. 2 million for drawings. I was doing drawings on ChatGPT this morning.
Oh yeah, how much did that cost?
God, my time.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. Talking for an hour. 1 second.
But yeah, that's honestly kind of crazy. Just the stark difference between what private money can do versus government money, and 2 million from the government just don't really see anything, just drawings. 5 million, you got golden shovels and
drawings.
I
mean, shout out to the people out here in this, the foundations, the private people. You have to go out and raise this money. Sorry, I've been talking too much today. Too many meetings. Shout out to them. They're doing things the right way. In Orlando, $2 million to draw up some stuff. And meanwhile, these people out here with private money are helping 2 families and 14 individuals get off the streets. I like when private money gets involved and helps get the government as much as possible out of these people's lives. And they've got a better chance of success. I'll tell you that, Anthony.
Yep.
All right. So we had a lot of great stories to get to. I wanted to give everybody some more time today, Anthony, because I know yesterday we had to rush off. Now, tomorrow will be a short show, but we got the lieutenant governor coming in, everyone. Very excited about this. We're going to have an interview with Jay Collins, a great conversation with him, a man that I have a lot of respect for, but he will get tough questions from me. I've already got some of you that have been messaging me on things you want me to ask. I am reading those messages, and we will make sure that we ask the lieutenant governor some tough questions tomorrow and the things that you want to know. Most importantly, maybe we can get Byron Donalds to actually get off of his ass and do something like debate somebody and stand for something. Look forward to having Lieutenant Governor tomorrow. We'll look forward to speaking to you all tomorrow here on the Patrick Carr Show. Thank you all very much for joining us. Have yourself a great rest of your afternoon. I can't speak. See you tomorrow on Thursday.